After a lion sees his footprints, it will proactively take a 3-kilometer detour. When scientists first saw his fossils, they threw the specimen bag on the spot because he thought he had dug up a fake. This thing's canines are up to 18 centimeters long, 3 centimeters longer than those of a saber-toothed cat. But the most absurd part isn't the teeth. It's his bite force. Enough to, within 0.3 seconds, crush an adult buffalo's spine into powder. Moreover, he never chases prey because he simply doesn't need to. He will wait for you to fall asleep. A curse circulates among African tribes. Those who cannot light a fire at night will not wake up again in the morning. The prototype of that curse is him. What's even more terrifying is that in 2023, at the bottom of Lake Turkana in Kenya, a batch of fossils was salvaged. After paleontologists pieced them together, they discovered that this monster last appeared on Earth only 20,000 years ago. 20,000 years ago. Your ancestors lived at the same time as it. It is called the African Agriotherium. And regarding the truth of its extinction, to this day, no scientist dares to give a definitive answer. You might think Africa's oldest terror is the lion, the hyena, or the leopard, but you are wrong. Completely wrong. In Africa, between 8 million and 2 million years ago, the one truly sitting at the top of the food chain was a monster you have never heard of. Its scientific name is Agriotherium africanum, translated as the African beast bear, which is what we call the African Agriotherium today. You think bears are those timid animals in the forest? The fossils from Lake Turkana tell you that this bear's shoulder height exceeded 1.8 meters. His shoulders were twice as wide as a modern grizzly's. When standing up, the top of his head could reach the 3rd floor. But what truly keeps scientists awake at night is not his size, but his teeth. The name Agriotherium, or fine-toothed, is very interesting. You might think fine-toothed means the teeth are small, which doesn't sound that scary. But you are mistaken. Quite the opposite. Fine refers to his teeth being extremely slender and sharp, precise like a scalpel, rather than blunt and thick like those of other bears. What does this dental structure mean? It means he doesn't just bite prey to death. He slices the prey open, dismantling you piece by piece, slice by slice. In 2019, paleontologists at the University of Johannesburg, South Africa, conducted a precision scan on the skull fossils of the African Agriotherium. The results revealed a detail that silenced the entire research team. His masseter muscles had an attachment area 73 fontaram, larger than that of a modern grizzly bear. This means its actual bite force likely exceeded 1,200 kilograms. What does that look like? A modern lion's bite force is 450 kilograms. The strength of one bite from this bear equals 2.6 lions biting simultaneously. You think this is already terrifying? No, the most frightening part hasn't been mentioned yet. Scientists found a very special wear pattern on its molar fossils. That kind of wear only occurs when gnawing on bones for a long time, specifically when the bone hardness far exceeds that of ordinary prey. In other words, this monster's daily diet included a large amount of bone. It didn't just stop at eating the prey. It would crush your bones along with it, sucking out the very last drop of bone marrow. This is the truly chilling meaning behind the fine-toothed part of its name. So the question arises, how did such a powerful apex predator rise on the African savanna? The story begins 8 million years ago. Back then, Africa was a completely different world. Continental drift was causing the East African Rift Valley to form. To the west were dense tropical rainforests. To the east was a savanna, becoming increasingly arid. This drastic change in climate triggered a biological explosion. On the grasslands, unprecedented large herbivores appeared. Hipparion, ancient buffalo, and giant swine. Fat and delicious prey were everywhere. At this exact juncture, the ancestors of the African Agriotherium quietly stepped out from the edge of the forest. On the day he emerged, the structure of the African food chain was completely rewritten. Scientists discovered that the African Agriotherium was not like modern bears, which have a primarily plant-based diet. Its tooth morphology, skull structure, and the prey bones found with it at fossil sites all clearly point to one thing. It was a highly specialized carnivorous predator. Simply put, it was a bear that existed solely to eat meat. What shocked scientists even more was that its foraging strategy was extremely cold and efficient. Spatial analysis of fossil sites shows that his range of activity often highly overlapped with the territory of early saber-toothed cats. This was no coincidence. It was a calculation. He specifically followed the saber-toothed cats. When a saber-toothed cat exhausted itself to kill prey, its three-eyed turtle figure would appear. Once he stood up, the saber-toothed cat didn't even dare to make a sound, obediently surrendering the prey already in its mouth. Across the entire African savanna, it was the final arbiter that no one dared to provoke. But such an invincible monster suddenly vanished from the fossil record. About 2 million years ago, there was no large-scale climate disaster, no meteorite impact, no volcanic eruption. It just disappeared silently. When scientists overlapped its extinction timeline with another timeline for comparison, they found a coincidence that made everyone's blood run cold. That timeline is when our ancestors, Homo erectus, left the jungle and expanded across the savanna. That is to say, during those hundreds of thousands of years, when the African Agriotherium vanished, our ancestors were on the African savanna, standing up step by step. Is this merely a coincidence? In 2017, in the Omo River Valley of Ethiopia, archaeologists in the same geological layer simultaneously unearthed bone fragments of the Agriotherium and stone tools used by early Homo erectus. The distance between the two was no more than 50 meters. What's even more eerie is that there were clear-cut marks on the bear's bones, left by stone tools. What does this indicate? It indicates that our ancestors not only lived on the same land as this monster, but had even attempted to hunt it. Imagine the scene. 2 million years ago, on the African savanna, a group of Homo erectus holding crude stone tools surrounded a 600-kilogram giant bear. They had no bows or arrows, no poison, and not even a language. But they had fire, numbers, and an instinct for cooperation. They threw torches at the giant bear, letting out deafening shouts, and pierced his eyes and flanks simultaneously with stone spears. At that moment, it wasn't just humans fighting a bear. It was two completely different types of intelligence, competing for dominance over this land. And you already know the result. The African Agriotherium disappeared. Our ancestors walked out of Africa and toward the entire world. But the story doesn't end there. Scientists discovered that before its extinction, the African Agriotherium did something unexpected. It moved out of Africa. Fossils have been found in the strata of Spain, Greece, and China. He had once tried to expand globally, attempting to find new territories, looking for places without those fire-wielding twilight beasts. But no matter where he went, the footsteps of our ancestors always followed. It was as if this pursuit was destined for this conclusion from the very beginning. In 2024, a study published in a journal of vertebrate paleontology revealed a new detail. In the final stages before the extinction of the African Agriotherium, its body size was shrinking. Fossil data shows that. From its peak until its extinction, his body weight decreased by nearly 30 fun-terrain. This is an extremely ominous signal. In paleontology, a sudden drop in size of an apex predator before extinction means its living space is being rapidly compressed. He had begun to run out of options. This bear ruled Africa for 6 million years. He had never lost to any beast. Yet in the end, he was defeated by a group of monkeys who had learned to light fires. Today, As we stand at the top of the food chain, looking down at all life on this planet, perhaps we should remember that 2 million years ago, our ancestors trembled as they gripped those stone spears. That wasn't bravery. It was a desperate gamble. And it was that very throw that changed the history of the Earth. The moment the African Agriotherium fell was not just a human victory, it was the most brutal transfer of power in evolutionary history. From then on, the most terrifying animal on Earth changed its face. And that face is the one you see now when you look in the mirror. That face is yours.